Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
The CSU 52 strike has made a tentative deal with the City of Edmonton. What happens next?
If you want all the unions to take what one union got, then you better have us all at the same bargaining table at the same time.
A measles outbreak may be on the rise here in Alberta. How to protect those most vulnerable.
So about 90% of people you come in contact with will contract the virus.
Plus, droughts across Alberta, how the Alberta government is looking to fix this issue.
We're focusing on 4 pillars: water storage, water management, water conservation, and finally, real-time data and information. To that end, we will also be investing.
NewsWatch starts now.
Good evening and welcome to NAIT NewsWatch. I'm Miriam Hassan.
And I'm Tristan Shaw. First tonight, we take a look into the near miss that occurred with the CSU 52 strike and what it could mean for city employees.
That's right, Tristan. Civic Service Union 52 was supposed to begin their strike yesterday. Fortunately, it seems the two sides were able to see eye to eye and negotiate a settlement.
Our Candace Slosky joins us live from the NAIT hallway with more on this story.
Thanks, guys, and yes, many Edmontonians are relieved to be going back into work today, as last week that wasn't looking like too much of a possibility, as continued talks between the union and the City of Edmonton seemed unlikely. However, around 7 p.m. Wednesday night, they resumed and were eventually able to strike a bargain just before midnight. It may be quiet in Churchill Square at the moment, but that wasn't always the plan. On Monday, Civic Service Union 52 served the City of Edmonton a strike notice set to take effect Thursday morning. But, due to last-minute negotiations, the two have reached a tentative agreement.
And we'll probably hold some information sessions next week. I think we're looking probably at Wednesday and Thursday, and then opening up a vote starting Friday morning and probably ending it the following Tuesday at noon. I'm saying probably because I'm not sure of the exact timelines.
CSU 52 is the biggest union in the Edmonton area and represents staff from various sectors, such as from the City of Edmonton, TELUS World of Science, Edmonton Public Library, Capital Power, and EPCOR. Though some of their interests may clash, the city does not want to dissuade its workers from taking collective action.
We want to respect the process where you meet at the table. We want to respect the rights of employees who have the right to strike. And so I do respect that right, and it's often part of a process. Sometimes you don't get to that point, but sometimes you do, and we're going to respect that process.
You know, if it wasn't for unions, pensions probably wouldn't be out there. Public health care wouldn't be out there. A lot of that only came about because of unions from back in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s.
This agreement will be the first contract CSU 52 has had with the city in nearly half a decade. The city pushed to not give out a 3-year contract, as that would still land them a year behind. While the matter won't be closed until a final union member vote, this unconfirmed deal has, for now at least, maintained Edmonton's 48-year streak of no civil worker strikes.
So, Candace, were wage and funding increases the only issues that ended up being sticking points for the negotiations?
Actually, Miriam, they weren't. There were many items hotly debated that the union considers non-monetary, such as sick leave or earned days off. Although there may be some costs associated with these items, they don't come directly out of the city's budget, due to the fact that the type of work these employees do won't need day-to-day replacements. To pay for the changes that would impact the budget, such as wage increases, the city is expected to increase property taxes.
So you also mentioned that the workers have been without a contract for nearly 5 years. What was the negotiation timeline like between then and now?
Well, Tristan, negotiations went on between the two parties for about 18 months, until they went into mediation in January of this year. Once mediation failed, the union held a strike vote in mid-February. This was out of fear that the city would give a lockout notice, then withdraw it, essentially forcing the union members back to work without CSU 52 being able to protect them from termination. The vote ended with 91% in favor of the strike. The city then came back with their best and final offer, which was shot down in a proposal vote. From there, negotiations broke down until Wednesday night.
Thank you for the insight, Candace. That's our Candace Slosky reporting live from our NAIT hallways.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
Alberta is preparing for a busy wildfire season as drought conditions spark concern. The government of Alberta is investing $35 million through the proposed 2024 budget to manage water usage and prevent future droughts. There are 4 pillars the government will be focusing on.
We're focusing on 4 pillars: water storage, water management, water conservation, and finally, real-time data and information. To that end, we will also be investing $4.5 million into fast-tracking important studies to explore creating a new Ardley water reservoir in the Red Deer River Basin.
The government will also be investing $8.7 million in wetlands and watersheds as they can help to store water and maintain water levels in lakes, rivers, and bodies of water.
For many, spring break is a time to escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life and get away. But with confirmed cases of measles in Canada, you may want to rethink those travel plans. Carter DeLu is a NAIT student who likes to visit his grandparents in Vernon to clear his mind during a tough semester, but he's concerned that the rising cases of measles may put a halt to his plans. There are currently 7 active cases of measles in Canada, and health officials are concerned given how contagious the virus is.
So measles is a really highly contagious virus. It's airborne and it lives in the air for up to 2 hours and it stays on surfaces. So about 90% of people you come in contact with will contract the virus, and you're contagious for about 4 days before and after you get that rash. So you might not even know that you have the illness and you're still spreading it to people.
This year we can't travel to Vernon to see our grandparents due to the measles outbreak, and we just don't want to infect my family and my grandparents and others in the area. So
if you or a family member are concerned about measles, visit www.canada.ca/measles for more info on symptoms and treatments.
NAIT will be increasing tuition for domestic students by an average of 2% for the 2024-25 academic year.
Commercials, and while we do have commercials for our clients.
Last year, the government of Alberta capped future tuition hikes for domestic students at 2% annually. This was done to help students with increased cost of living and prevent exceptional tuition hikes.
We think it's a lot more valuable to have regular, affordable, but also predictable tuition increases rather than seeing a pause for 3 years and then we see 7-year increases back to back.
Investment has remained flat. We have had targeted investment, but from across the board for all of our existing programs, we've seen no change in terms of the overall funding.
The tuition increase will range from 0 to 2.5% depending on the program. This will affect domestic tuition and mandatory non-instructional fees. Students can find their tuition assessment once they've registered for courses.
A local ninja is headed to the World Ninja League Championships in Greensboro, North Carolina. Ninja is an emerging sport similar to parkour, which focuses on overcoming intense obstacles.
Spencer O'Brien is headed to the States in June, but before he does, our Roxanne Harnack hit the course to find out more.
An Edmonton teen is making waves in the international ninja community. Spencer O'Brien is supported by his father, Cody, who is also a coach at Fit Set Ninja.
He's done lots of competitions. This past November, we had the Canadian Ninja National Finals, and there was over 400 athletes from all across Canada that came and competed. I think there was about 60 in his division, the pro division, which is the top division, and he ended up winning.
It takes a lot to be a ninja, and Spencer's an expert.
Before, when it first started, we didn't really have any of this stuff. It was kind of just as basic as it could be, but now it's super awesome in here, and there's like all these hoops and stuff and all these lâcher bars.
Spencer, who is scheduled to compete in North Carolina for the World Ninja League Championships, also coaches kids looking to become ninjas, training the next generation of extreme athletes.
Yeah, if you have fun, then you're going to enjoy it and you'll get better at it. So everyone out there, just have as much fun as you can if you try it.
This is Roxanne Harnack, NAIT NewsWatch.
Last week was the annual Women in Aviation Week, and the Alberta Aviation Museum held a special event over the weekend to honor the amazing women in the industry. Women have played a huge role in the aviation industry for as long as time, and the Alberta Aviation Museum sought to shed a light on the history of their accomplishments this past Saturday. From a flight simulator to a special showcase with never-before-seen artifacts, the event provided a ton of unique ways to learn about the impact women have had in the industry.
Sometimes girls or women get turned off of the idea that it's not an easy career, or it's X amount of years, or it's whatever to get a certain kind of license. And I don't want them to kind of have that train of thought. They should, if it's something that interests them, they should do it. They should really explore it because it's worth it.
The annual Women in Aviation Week is dedicated to addressing the gender imbalance in the air and space industry and encouraging more women to get into aviation.
Coming up after the break, we have a question that might just set you back.
That's right. Plus, we take a look at the Ooks men's volleyball team's return from the CCAA Championship.
Hey guys, it's Nick Dubé. I'm your sports host for the week. This is the newest addition to NAIT's gym. Guess who brought this bad boy home? And the NAIT women's hockey team goes for some glory of their own this weekend. Plus, a local football prospect is taking his shot at the big stage. All this and more on End Zone Sports.
Hey, it's Kayla Patterson, and I'm this week's weather reporter. Coming up, we talk about whether or not it's finally time for the snow to go away and the weekend weather warm-up. All that coming up.
Honestly, Miriam, I am so over the cold weather, but I'm just not sure if it's about time for me to hang up my winter jacket just yet.
I can definitely agree with that one, Tristan. Hopefully our Kayla Patterson can share a warm weather update for this weekend.
Thanks, guys. And yes, Tristan, I'd say it's almost time for those winter jackets to be tossed into the back of the closet again. The weather is slowly warming up, and I think for those watching, they'll be pretty excited for what I'm about to say, considering we've been dealing with the snow for some time now. So let's head on over to Calgary. Starting off, they're at a low of 0 and a high of plus 15, which is way above average for the city at this time right now. Heading down to Jasper. In the mornings, they start off with a low of -4 and they end the day with a high of plus 15, which is pretty high considering the fact that they're surrounded by the mountains and all of the snow. Down to Fort McMurray, they're a bit more colder than anyone else at the moment. They're sitting at a low of -9 and a high of plus 2 without the day. Down here in Edmonton, we're sitting at a low of 0 and a high of 8, which is pretty high for the averages. At this time around, usually for the year, the averages sit at a high of plus 2 and a low of -7. So also, I'll just let you know that this weekend is officially the last winter weekend, which means that spring equinox is happening on Tuesday. As well, Edmonton is currently in an upper ridge, which is basically a big bubble of air that keeps the temperatures in the upper ridge stable. So that means Edmonton will stay in the positives this weekend, and then later on around Wednesday or Thursday is when the temperatures will begin to cool down again. So, with that in mind, watch out for the puddles from the melting snow while driving, and especially while walking, watch out for those splashing cars. That's all I have for this weekend's weather report. I'm Kayla Patterson.
NewsWatch Weather is brought to you by NR92, the station for the students.
Last week's question of the week had some great responses from eager film fans.
That's right, Miriam. There were so many different responses as to which film NAIT students wanted to see take an award home. The winner of last week's question of the week is Taylor Winnie Hughes, who said the Barbie movie and Dune Part 2. I know it says only one. I love the somewhat subtle politics in both. Congratulations, Taylor. To collect your prize for question of the week, contact the NAIT Nugget. Hey, I don't know if it's just me, but changing back the clocks will always throw me off. Hopefully I'm not the only one.
No, you definitely aren't the only one. I know some people who are really struggling with the time change.
Perfect, so I'm not alone. Speaking of, for this week's question of the week, we want to know, did last weekend's Spring Forward affect you? And if it did, how so? Leave a comment at NAIT Nugget on Instagram for your chance to win a prize. So, you know that new banner the men's volleyball team brought home 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, Tristan, I heard there's going to be an even bigger, better banner hanging right beside it. Maybe our Nick Dubé can tell us more.
Bigger and better is right, guys, as the NAIT men's volleyball team hit even higher heights this past weekend by winning its first national title in the history of NAIT. Armed with momentum, aspiration, and coming off their first ACAC men's championship, the boys were hungry for more and boy did they deliver.
Back to McIntyre, and he gives the NAIT Ooks.
Carter Godin said last time he wanted to end his college career a national champion, and that's exactly what he did. Coach Phil Dixon and company seized their opportunity by winning the CCAA Men's Volleyball National Championship in their first ever appearance in the final. The Ooks beat Quebec's Limoilou Titans 3-0 to accomplish their mission.
Oh, it's, I actually can't put it into words how cool it is to be, or to come off on a win, on a high in my last game ever. It's really just the cherry on the cake.
Boys went 6-0 down the stretch, 2 reverse sweeps, 1 in Probs and 1 at Nationals, so I can't be more proud of this group of guys.
Champions at last, this is looking like the first step towards that dynasty. Now to the ice, where the NAIT women's hockey team are back in a familiar position. This time, however, they have a chance to flip the script and do something they haven't done in almost 10 years. Our Stephen Leong has more.
The NAIT Ooks women's hockey team are sharpening their skills as they prep for the remainder of their series against the Lakeland Rustlers. However, the team isn't looking too far ahead, even though they are 1 win away from clinching the championship.
We're just taking things day by day, so practice by practice, and in the game we'll take it period by period, shift by shift. Every single time you go out there, like it's 30-second shift that you're on the ice thinking about what you're doing right then and there. So just taking it in those really small increments.
Last year, Red Deer ended up sweeping NAIT 3-0 in the finals, but this year they got their revenge as they beat them 2-1 in the semis.
We've never been able to get past them in the round robin there, so it was really nice to be able to, beat them, and I think it was a huge confidence boost for our team, and going into this weekend, I think we're kind of using that momentum to our advantage.
Heading into the playoffs, NAIT were 17-8, which was 3rd in the division, while Lakeland 1st at 21-4. So even though NAIT might be underdogs on paper, they're playing like big dogs as they're currently up 2-0 with wins last Friday and Saturday by scores of 3-1 and 3-2. Their next game comes tonight at 7 p.m. at Lakeland with a chance to clinch the championship. The team has grown immensely both on and off the ice. The players have trusted the process and each other, and the results have shown.
We have a very veteran group, like with our 19 returners this year, and even our first years really bought into the process. And I think it's that daily process that we have throughout, like what we're working on in practice and the habits and details we look for in the game that we're really trying to focus on.
If the Ooks end up winning the series, it will be their first championship since their three-peat over a decade ago.
From the rink to the gridiron, a local prospect is looking to take advantage of a lifetime opportunity. Daniel Shin is a 6'4", 280 pounds, but you wouldn't suspect that by the way he moves through his drills. Daniel is one of 62 Canadian athletes from across North America vying to try and earn a paycheck playing the game they love.
Oh man, it's pretty much a dream come true. It's something that I've always dreamed of wanting to do, is play professional sports. I didn't think it was going to be in football, but once I got to the university stage of playing football, it was just something that I fell in love with, and the fact that I get to honor the U of A at the National Combine, it means a lot to me, and it's just like making a kid's dream come true.
Daniel will join fellow Golden Bears Jonathan Justini, Tyshawn Blackburn, and Matthew Peterson at the 2024 CFL Combine, which will be held at the University of Waterloo's Fieldhouse from March 19th until the 24th. Hey guys, did you know the Edmonton Elks are up for sale?
Yeah, I heard that after 75 years of public ownership, they will now be privately owned.
I think that would make Saskatchewan the last publicly owned team in the CFL.
Yeah, hopefully they find a good owner soon.
Thanks, Nick. Coming up after the break, a celebrity chef on campus?
And a gala showcasing women and wealth.
I'm Fiona Sarita, and coming up, we're at the Women's in Wealth Gala, and I'm here at the Black Pearl Restaurant downtown where they're getting ready for Downtown Dining Week. All that coming up.
NAIT NewsWatch 2024 Team Apparel brought to you by Crictex Industries, Alcohol Promotions, and Vieta Bakery.
Welcome back. Miriam, when was the last time you were on a trampoline?
Honestly, I can't even remember the last time I saw a trampoline.
Well, luckily for you, our Alex Jagger took a trip down a launch pad to give us some ups and downs, if you know what I mean, about the trampoline park.
Jump right into the fun at Launchpad, a trampoline park where kids and adults can have fun and reach new heights together.
We like to do the jumping. Yeah.
It's wonderful for them to be able to come and jump here. I think it's perfect for grandparents because they can just sit around and the kids have so much fun.
I like the foam pit. It's great to just try new tricks, and the basketball nets too are just fun to go play around when it's not an actual court.
If the dodgeball court made out of trampolines and the basketball hoops don't suit you, there's also a foam pit for those who want to do tricks as they jump in or climb up their rope ladder. If you want to bring the bounce closer to you, they have rentable, inflatable bounce houses.
I mean, it's all ages, so it depends more so on the time of the day, but at nighttime on Friday and Saturday nights, we do a neon night. So we have like a DJ, light up, all the lights go off, and then we have like glow-in-the-dark dodgeball, fog machines, laser lights, things like that. So usually at like 8 p.m. and after, it's more young adults vibe, but throughout the whole day, we have all ages.
With 2 locations in Edmonton and new attractions coming to both, the Launch Pad is a place to do tricks, jump around, and maybe even fall into some foam. I'm Alex Jagger with NAIT NewsWatch, and you gotta try this.
Now that the weather is getting warmer, I'm starting to get excited for all the festivals and events that Edmonton has during the summer.
Me too. I especially love ones about food. Luckily, Downtown Dining Week is starting up next week, and our Fiona Sarita is here to tell us all about it, as well as how one restaurant in specific is getting ready.
The annual Downtown Dining Week is starting on March 20th and runs until the 31st. It's part of the city's plan to revitalize the city core, as well as give everyone a great deal on eating out. I visited the Black Pearl restaurant to see how they're getting ready. The Black Pearl restaurant brings fresh seafood to landlocked Alberta, which is imported weekly from Nova Scotia. For this year's Downtown Dining Week, they're offering King Neptune's Cap, beef carpaccio, Pacific seafood mac and cheese, and chocolate hazelnut cheesecake, all for $65.
Downtown Dining Week always brings out the best of people and just the environments too. The streets fill up, everyone comes out for dinner, lunches, everything gets full. The street gets so much more vibrant, especially with beautiful like spring weather. You get flowers coming, all that stuff. It looks beautiful out there. And then, yeah, we just get busier as well. A lot of people like that good deal, and that's what Downtown Dining Week brings.
The Black Pearl is the perfect way to get an authentic coastal seafood experience right in the city. They also have daily low tide specials, as well as happy hour and $1 buck a shuck oysters every day from 5 to 7 p.m. The Black Pearl is only one of the many restaurants participating in Downtown Dining Week. Others include Amore Pasta, the Canadian Ice House, Cask and Barrel, Central Social Hall, District 102, Faro Sandwiches, Jack's Burger Shack, Loft 106 of the Matrix Hotel, and many more. There are also many music and film events happening downtown with Dining Week. To check out the full program and list of participants, visit edmontondowntown.com. For the first time ever, a NAIT graduate has been named the Hokanson Chef in Residence. Our entertainment reporter Harold Abwan went to see what the chef in residence has been cooking.
The culinary team at NAIT is in the middle of mise en place for a special event, the Hokanson Chef in Residence program, a 5-day-long program where NAIT's culinary arts and professional food studies students work alongside the named chef in residence to cook and cater while learning from the best.
Delicious. That's fun. Yeah.
This is Chef Blair Lebsack, the 2024 Hokinson Chef in Residence. He's an Edmontonian, a former NAIT culinary student, and he was also an instructor here from 2010 to 2013. Chef Lebsack is back at NAIT to share his wisdom and food philosophies with this year's batch of students.
Yeah, the students are very inquisitive. They, have a lot to learn, so it's nice because you get to kind of give them some of those technique, those sort of things, but they're in a great facility for learning. That's the nice thing about this, is everyone is here with learning caps on and they're open to anything you have to say.
Usually the program is limited to second-year students, but this year, Chef Lebsack is also teaching the first years.
Fantastic to have Chef Lebsack back, a very talented chef. I worked with him a little bit when I first started here. He is absolutely talented, and it's fantastic to have him back as an alumni and former instructor.
Today is the final day of the Chef in Residence program. After tonight, Ernest returns to business as usual. If you do want to try what the Chef in Residence has been making, then you'll have to hurry. But if you miss him, then you can find Chef Lebsack at Range Road. Harold of One, NAIT NewsWatch.
A special gala to celebrate women in leadership was held at the Edmonton Convention Centre last Friday for International Women's Day. The event brought women together to share stories of success as well as a fun night out.
Tonight is all about connection. It's all about empowering the people around you. It's about recognizing the power and courage at your table.
The 9th Annual Women in Wealth Gala was an inspiring night celebrating women in leadership, schools, community, and government. Women in Wealth aim to help close the gender gap and make a more inclusive environment for women. The gala was in support of Mamas for Mamas, a charity supporting mothers and caregivers in crisis.
It'll be a fun time. We all get to dress up. We get a nice dinner. There's a bunch of fun events, and then it's also for a good cause. So it's always fun. I try to come out every year. And as a woman in the financial industry, you definitely see that difference, right? That there's definitely less ladies, for example. And but I'm proud to be part of a company that recognizes that and works together with us and gives us opportunities.
The night's program included guest speakers Ashley Freeborn and Jody Carrington, a dinner and raffle, and a VIP reception afterwards. Another gala was held in Calgary the following night. So, do you think either of you will check out any restaurants for Downtown Dining Week?
Oh, for sure, especially if there's a hockey game on that night. Sounds like a perfect night out. What about you, Miriam?
Honestly, that Black Pearl restaurant looks really cool. I just love the theme. Thanks, Fiona.
It's been a great show this week with so many different stories. Who would have thought? Trampoline parks and dining week?
I know, it was fun, but we'll be back next week with another episode of NAIT NewsWatch. Thanks for joining us and have a good night.